At the recent BioAsia 2021 CEO conclave, Ernst& Young Global Generics and India Life Sciences leader, Mr. Sriram Srinivasan, he felt we need to really fix a target on the number of new chemical and biological entities we wish to launch in the next 10 years and go after creating an enabling ecosystem for it. And further, India needs to adopt a moonshot approach to develop and launch innovative drugs. A visionary approach indeed. Listen to him in his own words. Sriram Srinivasan.
There are like four things that are very important when you're trying to look at this enabling ecosystem. You need presence of capital, venture capital specifically in this area because of the high risk nature of the entire discovery innovation process. You need a very good startup ecosystem. I mean, if you look worldwide, most of the drugs discovered today have not been discovered by the big pharma. They've been discovered by very small biotechs whose only purpose in life was to discover that particular drug. They were developed by big pharma, but discovery was almost at the startup biotech ecosystem. The third is the industry academia linkages on how well they do that. And if you look at, for example, something like a Stanford University or Harvard and MITs, they actually have full-fledged labs focused on capturing IP from their discoveries and monetizing it. So it's a very different ecosystem where they're able to encourage professors to get involved with industry to be able to develop. And that's something that we don't see too much in India at all. And obviously, the fourth part again referred to was the regulatory framework and the regulatory ecosystem. And I've discussed this in the past, even with even in BioAsia, that the same siloed approach that we are seeing in industry is present even in the government. So the Ministry of Health is different from the Department of Pharmaceuticals, is different from the Department of Animal Husbandry. I mean, if we have to get this right, we probably need to take a almost like a moonshot challenge, saying, can I create one nodal ministry which is single point of contact for all such discovery? And within the next 10 years, can we make sure that we're having at least 10 candidates, NC or NB candidates from India? I mean, that's the kind of moonshot targets that you need for us to be able to even think about getting there. Because all of us have been in this industry for 20 plus years. And every time we think that an Indian NC is just around the corner all the way, somehow the goalposts seem to change. So I think it's very important to recognize that we talked about incentives, we talked about these things, these enabling ecosystems. These are not just they're necessary conditions but not sufficient. You need to be able to get all of that. The fifth element, which India has a lot of, is the entrepreneurial nature. We have enough entrepreneurs out there willing to put that stake. So having one or two of these and not the others just makes it a set of necessary conditions but not sufficient conditions. I think if we're able to get our act right across this, we should be able to do it. And someone also talked about the parallels with the IT industry. You never have to encourage people or the VCs to invest in an IT startup. They just come and do it simply because that's a far more mature, evolved scape. So, which gives me the sense that if we were able to get that initial push started, it will become a virtuous cycle. The moment you find the first results coming out, you'll find promising results coming out from the various ecosystems, entrepreneurs being able to see the value of their investments and ROIs. Automatically, you're going to find a flood of things. And then I don't think anyone's going to be talking about government support. They'll probably be talking about less interference, if anything. So I think global perspective, the largest molecules out there are no longer chemical molecules, but they are biologics. So clearly, a lot of the infrastructure that we need to be developing in biologics. Kiran also touched upon completely new ways of treating diseases like cell and gene therapy, which is completely personalized medicine. So the way disease is being treated, the way sickness and healthcare are being treated are extremely different from the paradigm that we've had of the past. And we need to kind of almost catch up, if it, as it were, to be able to get that infrastructure for us to be able to compete. Things like cell and gene therapy, things like your entire area around oncology. Also, I would say, if I look at kind of pivot all the way to the other side, which is a lot of focus on preventative medicine in terms of how do you, and India has got an excellent infrastructure on digital and technology. So how do you use digital and technology to create an entire preventive ecosystem, wellness, nutraceuticals? That's a completely different ballgame out there. And a lot of focus is now on improving immunity, improving people's health parameters and metrics. I think in an earlier conversation, the minister also referred to tracking devices and how safe are they. But at the same time, those same IoT devices and tracking devices can be used to measure body's sickness parameters. So preventing sickness is the larger goal and the holy grail, I would say, than to be able to cure. So clearly, both sides of the spectrum, in terms of extremely high technology, in terms of what needs to be done when someone has fallen sick, versus what needs to be done to prevent people from getting sick, both of which have got significant amount of investments happening in the world. And I think India would be amiss if we didn't kind of invest our own thought capital, intellectual capital in these two areas to be able to be a relevant player in the future.